It's time for Showcase. Oh yeah, let's go. What's up, everybody? How you doing? We're doing Illuvium Showcase once again. I know it's been a while. I'm so sorry. I got sick last week. We had to delay the episode by a week, but we're back. This is the show where we go behind the scenes at Illuvium and show you what's going on in the development of what I think are the best looking video games on the blockchain, all of the Illuvium interoperable games. My name is Andrew Wall, host and executive producer here at Illuvium, and I am not by myself this week. Oh no. I've got co-founder and super genius Grant Warwick here with me right now. Grant, what's up, buddy? How you doing today?
God, man, it feels like these keep getting at an earlier and earlier time.
Well, you managed to get a collared shirt on and to look semi-human, so you're doing pretty good right now.
Well, I'm trying to avoid all these comments every single time saying they're like, oh, how come he looks so tired and doesn't really care about the project anymore, and his eyes are puffy, and you know, he looks stupid, and you know, I mean, Dimitri's worse than me, but I mean, may as well.
Speaking of insulting your coworkers, here's your coworker right now, Dimitri, in the house. The self-proclaimed
look at my eyes. So.
Come on,
man. NFT wizard
over there. How come you're so tired, huh?
Oh, jeez.
Got a new kid in tow, and you have to be the NFT wizard that renders the best looking NFTs on the ever made. Period. Awesome. I'm glad the whole crew's here. We're going to kick it off with NFTs so Dimitri can talk about those. If you guys are not already familiar with the show, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going over images and videos, and this is obviously not financial advice of any description or any type of advice. We're just going in depth behind what's going on with the Illuvium intellectual property, with namely creatives on the team. And speaking of which, Grant, did you have something you want to talk about before we kick off the episode?
Yeah,
speaking of creatives.
Dimitri and I quit the project.
Hey, all right.
Can't do it anymore.
Good for you.
Finally.
Yes. Who's coming with me?
Okay, so for the last 5-6 weeks now, we made a restructuring so as you guys will know, my technical title was as art director of the project, and with Dimitri being like a secondary art director. But realistically, and Roger can't be here, but 5-6 weeks ago, we made the decision between myself, Danny, Johnny, Kieran, that it would be better for the project to restructure those titles and allow Roger to officially be the art director of the project, and Dimitri and I would go out of that role. And that's not like if you know how we work internally, that's not like a giant change or anything to the project. It's more of where are we blocking up the approval process? And because at the end of the day, Roger technically was art directing a large part of the project.
Right.
Dimitri was directing parts of the project. You know, all the leads were art directing certain things. You know, it wasn't like I'm just sitting there unilaterally deciding on everything. So it was more just as Dimitri and I shifted to focusing on the NFTs and getting to the finish line there, I was blocking the approval process, and we felt that Roger would just be a much better fit to streamline that. He's always been more production focused than Dimitri and I. He's more organized and consistent than Dimitri and I, even though now Dimitri's blasting stuff out at a crazy pace. It is, to the community, what appears to be a big change, but internally, I just think it makes more sense. And since that's happened, Dimitri and I obviously don't have a title anymore, so we are officially the
jobless
NFT wizard.
Yeah,
the NFT. I thought
homeless.
NFT wizard, VP of NFTs, something like that.
No, Dimitri's actually the head of NFTs now, and I technically become I don't know, for a long time. Many people don't know this, but I actually birthed Dimitri. You know, it was
wow.
I had a water birth with him about 12 years ago. So, you know, now actually I have become his son, and he's reassimilated me into his womb and is in the process of rebirthing me. So
People, I'll be promised behind the scenes, they were not expecting this. Well, well, congratulations to Roger. Like, seriously, incredibly hardworking. Like you're saying, doesn't really change anything internally inside of Illuvium, but it's great to publicly announce that and to give that recognition to him for all of the hard work that he's done, and that vote of confidence for him in that art director role, and that's fantastic.
like I said, if you knew the internal workings of the project, you'd know that he was art directing along with the leads more than I was at a certain point, right? Like, my position as art director, I would say, was only really officially the case maybe for the first 6 months of the project while we were trying to like build out that core team. And since then, the amazing thing is that like everyone's been able to just stay in there, manage their lane perfectly, to the point where none of us feel like it's like, no, you do what I say, and we have arguments. It's just like, if the leads want something a certain way, it happens, and I'm just there as some kind of at the end of just agreeing with what they're doing to approve it. And I was blocking that because, you know, I'm starting to get back onto working more on NFTs, which we're going to show you in this episode, and you'll see that there's a lot of NFTs to do, and we're getting close to the finish line on all of that. So let's get into it. But yeah,
let's do it. That's a great announcement. Thank you for sharing that. And as you guys will see as we go through these NFTs, we're putting our top talent on these because they're so incredibly important. These characters, these Alluvials, are the core and the heart and a huge part of the appeal of all of our intellectual properties. Let me just start showing them right now for people that haven't seen them. We've got Drop Bear here and audio in tow with these, which is really great. Let me crank up the audio for everybody to check out. So this audio is baked into the NFTs, correct? Is this one final, or are you still working on this stage 1 Drop Bear?
No,
it's final for open beta release, but obviously all the NFTs, we've said this before, will have idle VFX added, flames, little sparks, things like that. But in terms of open beta release, this is final. Maybe you should take the little frame off.
I can take the frame off, no problem. We could take the frames off.
And mute us, and then kick us out of the project.
Kick you out of the project, perfect. Look at the detail on these. Look at just the love and the high quality that the team is bringing to the table here. You truly are an NFT wizard. Looking fantastic. And we have Penguin Stage 1 here. This is a test preview one, evidently. So what's left to be done on this one?
This one is done. I think I did render it out high res. It's just they like right now the sound guys, they picking up whatever they see. They didn't pick up the latest updated version, but like there is not a big difference, you know.
Got it.
It'll be just the background change there. So they're working on the sound, so it should be pretty good.
So to generate these, you just put a prompt then into ChatGPT and put it in an image generator, and it just kind of poops these out just like this.
Yeah, but like it only takes. Unfortunately, I don't know. Like for some reason, the subscription that I've got for the ChatGPT is too slow, so it's taking us like I don't know a year to spit it out.
And the AI was trained very poorly. Put it that way.
I think this comment sums it up. These are better than freaking movie animations. Yeah, movies are garbage in comparison to what we're bringing to the table here with our NFTs. That has been established.
I went and saw the new Pixar movie. It was Elementals or something like that. I don't even remember the name of the movie. But I was pretty disappointed because I was like, are you guys serious? This is meant to be like a major Pixar release, and that's the first time I felt like Pixar kind of dropped the ball on story, visuals. It just didn't do it for me, and maybe that's because we've been doing this stuff for so long, but I don't know. There's like the whole idea of these Alluvial NFTs was to try and match that Pixar quality or outdo it, and to see it all come together like it has. So I don't know. I just felt like we've actually done this to a point, and I keep trying to stress this to the community. There was a reason why we put this work in, and that's because this was never going to be a short-term project to us. We were building an IP, and all of these characters have to be usable, not just in the game, either in a Netflix series, a movie, and they need to be good characters. No one cares about these characters if they don't look like this, and no one can visualize them in major movies or Netflix series unless they're at that quality. And I think we've gone above and beyond. And how close are you now, did you say, Dimitri, to getting like from the main Illuvials besides the tier zeros? You've got like 12 or 13 left.
Yeah, there's like only I think about 12 left that I didn't touch yet. Everything else is in a WIP, and like as when I'm saying WIP, there is only some small tweaks that like it's just us crazy going and nitpicking. Well, yeah, just to make it perfect. But like there is kind of a reason why we're doing that with the base renders. It's like on top of that, we're gonna render out the hollow and dark hollow version of each. And if there is any issues with the with the underlying geometry or like texture or whatsoever, it will be translated into all three of them. So like we're trying to future-proof us as well, and get everything right from the beginning as much as possible.
How much hard drive space, just to give people an understanding of just how
this hard drive question
4K.
going on like for quite a while. So like 4K, just the renders, not counting any of the source files, not counting any of the groom simulation and things like that. Just renders raw files, 65 terabytes.
65 terabytes, that's it?
Just the renders of the NFTs.
Yeah.
Not
And
the
then
files, not the work in progress, not the 2 years every single NFT has gone through across Dimitri's system, my system. I've got a 20 terabyte NAS here. Dimitri's got like a 40 terabyte NAS at home. We've got
I've got 40, but then like it filled up with a bunch of old stuff as well. So that
I've all just work on previous trailers and things like that. The storage space it's become psychotic. We're at the point where we're getting approvals. I'm trying to get approvals from Danny on an additional 80 terabytes. And Danny's sitting there going to me, at what point do we send Dimitri to rehab? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. So like, look, this is kind of interesting, right? Like, we're doing these renders, and then they'll be used on every single promotional video that's gonna be used. Like, there's Illuvials previews, right? Like that Andy is doing for each Illuvial. They're gonna reuse these renders. Like all of the in-game footage, they're gonna reuse this footage. All of the kind of whatever you will come up, Andrew, like in your marketing team, like whatever needed, it's all high res, and it's like,
oh yeah, every one of these will be seen tens of millions of times in marketing materials over and over and over again. So getting them right the first time makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, so like we could have gone and did it like, I don't know, 1080p and quite low res, but then like if once you need something up res, well, you gotta wait a day at least, just to get it rendered. And
are these videos 4K that you've got, Andrew? Or are they 1080p?
Some of them are 4K, some of them are 720, some of them are 1080. It all depends on the file.
Do you have any 4K ones you could like do a zoom in to 100% and just fill the screen without the purple border? Maybe
no, I would have to reformat the entire show to do that. Okay. So it's not really like that with OBS, but this is the best I can do right now.
Okay.
I can full screen them next time, so there's no border.
Yes.
But anyway, they're absolutely gorgeous, and you can download every single one of these directly from Illuvium's Discord, the raw files that are being shared there. And of course, these will be fully available when our games launch. for you to be able to purchase and for you to be able to catch in the overworld and for you to be able to use and actually own each one of these as an asset, which is absolutely phenomenal. And these will be videos with audio baked into the NFT themselves, which is phenomenal, which is fantastic. But anyway,
We're in the
go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say we're in the process of finalizing the exact file formats. You know, in order for 4K to be realistic for us, there's a lot of web stuff even that has to go into it, because what company realistically has to display so much 4K content to users in a modern website? I don't know of any that has this much 4K footage, and not everyone has 4K monitors, and therefore you have to make sure that we export formats out in 4K, 1080p, 720p, with the web team having to implement systems that automatically recognize for each person what's being loaded and hot load the right asset depending on streaming quality. Because once again, you could have a 4K screen but not have the bandwidth to be able to load that. It's just like, there's a reason why YouTube really tries to get people not to load 4K content. You know, you've got to go in and turn a setting on, like automatically load high-res content, and because it's just historically difficult to stream, you know, we're lucky in that these videos aren't 20-30 minutes long, but to watch every single one of them strung together ends up being like, how long was it, Dimitri? Like, you got 300 times 30 seconds, 100.
Yeah, there's a couple of hours.
2 hours of
hours of just idle animations for NFTs. That is ridiculous. You know, it's funny that you guys mention, you know, let's say getting tired of or being disillusioned with watching Pixar movies in theaters. You know, isn't that the way it is anytime you do anything at the highest level, like any type of job? I remember I even if you just work in a restaurant, for example, when you go out to eat in other restaurants, you notice all the things that aren't done right? Or when I did audiovisual for a living, I couldn't go to a concert without hearing all the mistakes or seeing all the mistakes. And I think you guys are suffering from that yourselves. As people trying to achieve AAA characters every single day in your line of work, I think it might take some of the magic out of going to something like the theater because you understand how the sausage is made now. You know, I'm sorry that happened, but the good thing is that you guys get to create the magic for other people. So I guess that's the beautiful trade-off then in that deal.
It definitely feels weird, I tell you that, to be looking at this stuff, because to see like 20 or 30 of these is pretty cool, but ultimately our daily lives are sitting there going, oh shit, you know, we got another 170 to go. But now when it's the opposite and you've got 20 or 30 renders to go, plus the tier zeros, which are much faster, you see the light at the end of the tunnel and it starts blinding you a little bit. It's really cool.
I can't stress this enough, man. Like seeing the full list of 205 and all in red, because I've got the spreadsheet like where I'm like from the beginning I put everything in red, saying like this has to be done, this, and then I start slowly ticking them off as a green boxes, and it's like
progress.
The first half of the
finally.
year, the first half of the year didn't look good. Like, because even though you're ticking them off, but like it's still in comparison, like to what's been done to what still has to go, it's just been quite depressing in the beginning. But now it's more green than red. So that's
and this project has so many of those Excel spreadsheets that are just like, here's 300 things you have to do. How many are done? And it'll be like 6 months ago, you're sitting at like 35%. And you're like, ooh. And like animation, for example, like we have every character has to have all of the auto battle animations, overworld animations, idling, capture resist, signature, now running. And like that Excel spreadsheet was sitting there at like 30-40% because we kept adding little columns, and now it's at like 92%. And I'm like, whoa, like I'm going through, I've got all these tabs up with like Excel spreadsheets and they're getting close to finished. It's just an exciting time.
It's been
feels really good.
That's fantastic. I'm really glad to hear that you guys are starting to feel the progress of making all of these assets. And we have other incredible assets to show people, and we have some stills of some of the NFTs that we'll come back to in our slides. But I wanted to show off some of the incredible emotes that the team has been doing as well.
Yes.
These are phenomenal, so much personality, and yet another kind of expression of these Illuvials for people to fall even more deeply in love with them. You see the beautiful NFT, and then you see these amazing cartoon emotes. These are just gonna pop right out of the screen when you see these in the arena. I love every single one of these emotes. Who has been putting the time and effort and love into creating these emotes that we're looking at today?
Well, they're taking a lot of the stuff that Vincent was doing in concept. Edric has been taking the still to stuff and just turning it animated. But we've had the entire concept team contribute to the base, like still images, but like to turn them animated, you know, is all on Edric, and it's super cool. I actually am more excited about these than any of the skins, to be honest. You know, I've always been pretty honest about certain things in the project, and for me, things like Illuvium Beyond weren't that exciting to me, even though a lot of the community love it. To me, like, I was always more interested in just the raw NFTs you saw just then, like the raw Alluvial NFTs. In a similar way, I'm more excited about the emotes than ranger skins and things like that. I think these are more unique and more expressive. And look at this.
It's fantastic. I mean, it makes you love the character. I mean, these are so good.
That's the Ron Paul.
Oh, is it really? That's awesome.
I wish we could get the GIF up.
The GIF there. Oh, the Ron Paul GIF.
The Ron Paul GIF, yeah.
Let me see if I can grab it real quick.
Like, you're like, why is he doing that? And like, a lot of these GIFs are based off of memes or viral GIFs.
Here we go. All right, we have the Ron Paul GIF. Just so you guys know the reference. This is it. All right. So take a look at that, and then take a look at this. See the resemblance? Awesome. I didn't realize that was a reference to that. It's happening. Ron Paul. Where you at, Ron Paul? Where's our Ron Paul fans in chat? That's awesome. These emotes are so fun. People are just going to go totally bananas for them. You know, there are so many cringy experiences in games where you're emoting at the other player, especially card games, where you have to like play the same, let's say, voice line over and over again to the other player, or have some crappy looking yellow skinned, you know, traditional emoticon essentially that you have to pump into the, to actually play. The fact that we're actually putting love in here and making these completely original and premium, the way that they glow along the edges and they're neon, they're really gonna pop and they're really gonna stand out and grab people's attention. And I think they're gonna kind of steal the show sometimes. And I think that's fun. I think the problem we're gonna have is we might have to tone them down a bit because they're so eye-catching and they're so so attractive within the UI. But anyway, I guess that's a good problem to have.
Well, that's Roger's call now. Another one.
That's his problem.
Like, it's so Invader Zim like. You know, I didn't even, until I saw these animated, I didn't realize how similar to Invader Zim they actually are. But it's like Aaron and I's favorite childhood cartoon, I guess you could say.
All right, you dropped a leak, and we have to know what's going on with this. What are these portals coming out of the sky? Are we all gonna die? What's happening here? Can you tell us anything?
Yes, so these are overworld riffs, and they serve multiple purposes. I won't get into all of those because obviously we're tweaking certain things, but we've said it multiple times. We're in the process of getting Illuvials in the overworld and trying to enhance that feeling of immersion in the overworld, and the way in which you get from the overworld into the encounter domes where you're facing the Illuvials. And the riffs are something that the Illuvials escape through. They serve other purposes, but essentially when you're chasing the Illuvial through the overworld, it will escape through one of these, and this acts as like the portal instead of what we have now, which doesn't feel AAA, where the orb, you shoot it and then it just kind of stops and you jump, you hit R and jump in. You know, we're now allowing you to jump in and chase the Illuvial into that battle, and it just feels more premium, more AAA, more immersive,
Yep.
and you know, allows you to do things like, you know, recharge.
Well, it's going to allow you to use those traversal mechanics too when chasing
Absolutely.
down the Alluvial, to keep the action going, to keep the momentum going, to keep the adrenaline going as you're trying to chase down an Alluvial, rather than just having to stop every time and then just hold a button down. It really kills the flow of being able to glide and slide and jump and jetpack. So that's that. I love this idea. Now,
and without without giving away any lore or anything like that, there's obviously reasons for why things are happening, and what we have now doesn't match with the lore of the game. You know, certain things we've done are just there because they were easier to do early on in the process, not because that's how the lore would describe things happening. You know, it's just, okay, well, the lore describes things happening this way, but that's going to take time doing the VFX and the actual implementation and coding that together, when earlier on we just didn't have the time. So now you're starting to see, and there is so many things in the back end of the game that are like that right now. Even at open beta, and even 6 months into open beta, there are fully descriptive rationales and reasons for things happening in a really cool, interesting way that we just don't have time to implement that way. So I'm excited to show people how that evolves over time. But realistically, that process of hunting alluvials has to feel immersive from A to Z, from entering the overworld to capturing that alluvial. All has to feel like it's one nice, cohesive system, and this will help with that.
That makes sense. You also shared this leak of a drone appearing to blast another drone here. So does this have anything to do with PvP? People they won't stop asking me, are we going to share anything about PvP? So what are these drone blasts? What do we want to say about these?
I think we are holding off just a little bit longer on the PvPs. Now, I've played PvP. I played PvP with Dick Kings, and without lying, you know, there's a few bugs and things like that that need to be solved, because it's not just PvP, it's being hooked into the back end. Certain things are being hooked into the back end, and I really wish people could understand how difficult it is to not just make a game, but make it function on the blockchain. It's at times a nightmare scenario, because it's just like taking something already complex and then making it exponentially more complex, you know, just adding another layer of failure that can possibly break certain things. So, but obviously, like, what you're seeing now is similar to the emotes and ranger skins. These are drone blasts. We've shown these before.
Yeah.
What happens at the end of each PvP round? If you win the round, your drone will damage the other drone. And PvP is centered around the idea that you're versing each other, trying to destroy the other person's drone and weaken it. And the bigger the victory in each round, the more damage the drone does to the other player's drone. And in order to signify that, you've got the drone blasts, and these are all earnable, skinnable things in the game. You know, there's defaults, but then as we work on these, there'll be, you know, hundreds of different drone blasts with different rarities and things like that.
Yeah, we showed a ton of those off in the previous episode of Showcase. Let's call it drawings of them, sketches of them. So check out episode 3 in season 2 if you want to see some of those. They look like amazing Kamehameha blasts of varying colors and with varying elements. Really cool stuff. I'm going to go through some, just a quick cycle through some animations and some updates that you shared. This one's Drop Bear, Stage 2 Omega. Just some more gameplay aspects that are going to add even more AAA quality to the arena experience everyone's going to be experiencing. And I also wanted to share these tree kangaroo ones. I don't know if this is final audio, but this might be the most adorable audio I've ever heard in my life. These little high-pitched sounds with tree kangaroo. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one.
I love that they're adding in retro elements.
This is stage 1. This is the taunts. Look at that little punch. Come on, how could you not love this? I don't know, maybe it's just me on this leak.
No, I mean, I'm loving
That's
it too.
amazing.
The sound team is definitely polishing everything at this stage. The beautiful thing is, like I said earlier, all the animation, I think I said that on last episode, all the animation for the auto battler is done. Every last character has all the animations except the run cycle, which we've only added since the last episode. And even that now is well underway, you know, like implementing how that works in the game. One of the weaknesses we feel, and this was Alex's idea, is that we don't have run animations, and so it can feel a little bit slow sometimes when a character, we're forcibly having to make them limited in speed on the battle board in terms of just their ability to move around, because we don't have run animations. So if you make a character move faster than it's walking, it starts sliding on the battlefield. And that makes the entire auto battler feel a little bit slow in comparison to TFT. We're working on fixing that so that certain characters on the board run faster than others, but without a run animation, that can't happen. So you're going to see the auto battler evolve, you know, over time. We're still not done with basic things. Here you're seeing little details that maybe go unnoticed, but just the little VFX underneath the drone as you move it. In PvP mode, similar to TFT, where you can move around your little character, you can in the game as well, and this will determine where the drone blast occurs. Some of these drone blasts are modular in that, like, depending on where you are, it changes the way the drone blast happens. So
That's awesome. Just a little extra touch there. Yeah, and I never noticed that about the Illuvials just walking. You're right. They do sometimes feel like they just stroll up to the other enemy, and then they go absolutely ham and have like some incredible combo they do. You're right, it is sort of strange. I'm glad that's being addressed.
yeah, the entire game will feel fast to stream.
This is just various in-game combat previews all together in one preview for everybody to check out.
Like, you would expect Vermi to be running faster.
Right.
You know, like, you don't want him walking at the same pace as the stage 2 and 3. You know, because he's smaller, he should be able to, like, scuttle around faster, and we can't do that, you know? So it's like, okay, he's not as powerful, but he is faster on the battlefield. Those types of game balance tweaks need to happen.
That makes sense. And is it just me, or does this battle board look really nice? I don't know. For some reason, I don't know if you guys worked on this one and this one improved, or maybe it's just a good render, but the battle board looks really nice. The bubbles there coming out of the water, the lighting and reflections, it's starting to look, starting to really come together here.
It actually looks really good like this in the original trailer we did, but then what happened is there was a major update from Unreal Engine 4 to 5 that happened in the back end of our development, and certain shaders weren't working.
I see.
You know, like when you do major updates like that from UE4 to 5, things can break, and it took like 6 months before Epic Games fixed one of those bugs that was causing double-sided transparent water to work, and now we've got that transparency working in the water again. The water doesn't feel like it's really, you know, from 1990. So the entire arena looks better. But this actually is going to be, this whole arena will be improved. the reason why we stripped back this arena, like in the trailer, there was more in it, and we had assets that were outdated. Now those are fixed, and we just want to. We didn't want to launch the first private beta for Overworld with a battle arena that was slow and not optimized because of outdated assets. So the Crimson Waste battle board will be improved.
Awesome. Thank you for the update there. That's great. Okay, that makes sense on the shader side of things. Okay, we've got a ton of in-game previews, and I'm just gonna we've got the Elk in-game preview here as well on that same battle board. This one is Elk Stage 2.
Just seeing a lot of the sound updates. The sound team is just polishing all of the synergies, active VFX sounds, ultimates. Everything is getting polished and rehearsed.
It sounds so good. I love this animation too, the way the kind of arch flies over, and everything feels really nice there on that one. This is Stage 3 Elk. I don't know, maybe it's the timing, maybe it's just the way the team put it together. It really does feel like he's chucking that energy over there with the horns and putting a lot of effort into it. It feels really nice.
It's definitely come together. Sound is the thing in the game that just is the ribbon that ties it all together.
Very good. Now, the next things I'm going to show everyone are signature moves. So these are not polished and finished yet, but these are the animations that are going to happen when you capture an alluvial, right?
Yes. Before it shows its stats. On the battle board right now, we don't have the resist. So as your drone is trying to capture the alluvial, they kind of just sit there idling. There's no tension in that moment.
Right.
And all of the resist animations are now like 90% done. No, the resist animation is one of the last things, but this is the phase in the capturing sequence where you've caught the alluvial, and then in the user interface, it doesn't look like this. It's just a preview of the animation and the VFX, because every animation in the game needs a corresponding VFX, sound, and implementation. And so Laura, one of our VFX artists, is doing the VFX for these signatures for each character at the moment, while other, like Abelfazl is working on in-game VFX, Peter's working on Drone Blast VFX, and Sumo is polishing Overworld VFX.
Got it. Yeah, some of these are starting to look really nice. Obviously, with the audio, it's going to feel way more epic in that moment. And it's going to feel more celebratory and more victorious when you capture that alluvial. Really cool to see how this is made.
And with the final UI that is being worked on right now, I wish we could share that. But obviously what you're seeing here is a preview. In our game, you go from the auto battle encounter space to capturing the character, and like bang, it pops up on screen, full screen, then transitions from this screen to the 4K idling NFT that Dimitri's been working on, all seamlessly blending from one part to the other until you get back out in the overworld and keep capturing more characters. So the process is getting there. This is one of the final things that we have in our sequence of assets required from the art team, the Illuvials. It's really cool.
Got it. So this is you guys getting from like 1 to 6 trillion assets to the final trillion to 7 trillion assets.
Jeez.
I just feel like every time I talk to you, I learn more about the ever-expanding scope of creative things you guys have to make for these games. It's ridiculous.
And the craziest thing of all is that eventually, we're not doing this anytime soon. This is after open beta for sure. But like once we do all the NFTs and they're all rendered out, like what do we use the render farm for? What does Dimitri do? I know he's homeless now, but then we start rendering all of these signature animations so that we can tie those in for marketing purposes, so that we can get the character not just sitting there idling, but the signature shows the character's personality more than the idle. Like right now, the snake's idling. You don't get a sense of how vicious and ferocious the character is, but when you play the signature, all right, this is a serious character, it's aggressive, and that ties into the backstory of the lore of the character. We can't express that in the idle animation itself. So we'll eventually be able to link together this signature VFX and idling animations.
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
No, it really unlocks the personality of each Illuvial. Like Scoriox, for example, in the lore is a very defensive, or it can be very reactive if you mess around with them when they're in their home, if you will. And so the little spiraling animation here and then the flare up there tells you something about their personality.
Yep.
This is an Alluvial you wouldn't want to F with out in the wild. But it just idling just looks like a fire serpent, you know? So that's a really good point. Very cool. Okay, that is 50 videos so far. So this is ridiculous. I've got another 50 images that we're going to share here with everyone. Even more content. You guys okay? You doing all right? You ready to do this? Do you need more coffee? I know it's like 2 a.m. I know it's not 2 a.m. but
It's a very subjective question at this stage.
that's fair. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Audience, thank you for joining us. If you're enjoying this stream, be sure to give a thumbs up on YouTube. Do it. Here we go. Let's check out these fantastic images. And I'm just going to kind of cycle through these and you can give a context. Obviously, this is a still of one of those beautiful NFTs. Have you guys heard about our NFTs?
Yeah,
They're pretty good.
I mean, you did it, Dimitri. Like, I'm waiting for you to do
Couple
something
of
here,
little
man.
things.
Come
I don't know,
on,
like it's just like look, this I'm posting a lot of still images in the leaks channel as well, and the reason we're doing still first because the full sequence of 300 frames takes forever to render, and like we can't afford with each iteration to do that. So like what we doing for each level is setting up the lighting and all the materials, doing a test frame and bunch of test frames within the whole sequence, and this is one of those. So like because now this whole scene is set up and you're seeing only just one image, it means I can render out the whole 300 frames without any issues and without having some major mistakes or something like that.
Can you zoom in on these stills, Andrew?
I am so sorry. My Zoom tool will not work today. Logitech G Hub will not let me do my hotkeys. Otherwise, I would be zooming in on every single one of these. Sorry about that.
You could literally see the microfibers in the moss.
Unfortunately, if you want to touch the moss with your own fingers, go to our Discord server and download these files. Otherwise, I would be ×4 zooming in on these. Hold on. Let me see if... Hold on. Let me try manually hitting the hotkey. It worked!
No
all right,
way.
perfect. Okay, I can do it.
No way.
I can manual hotkey here. Okay, all right. Look at the detail on this. And this is me zooming in, and then YouTube is crushing it down for all of you.
Yeah.
Look at just
But
the details. Good Lord, y'all.
Yeah.
This is an NFT.
Yeah.
NFTs are just supposed to be crappy pictures of like apes or something. Here, I'll zoom in on the earlier ones. They're not supposed to be this good. Didn't you guys get the memo? You're just supposed to make NFTs in Rug.
I'm
trying hard.
You're doing it wrong.
Rug us? I'm waiting for it.
You're supposed to make low quality art in Rug. That's the strategy. Man, just look at the fur. Somebody made a joke earlier in chat that the hair and the groom and the fur on his characters looks better than what their barber is able to put together for them. Do you do hair for humans? Look at the detail.
Is your barber one of the best barbers in the world? Because our hair and groom team are all the best in the world at what they do. So I would be very surprised if Yannick or Maria weren't capable of giving a really, really good haircut, as well as Antonio now too, who's been with us for, 3 months now,
Yeah.
I saw some of your bonus leaks where you're just like pointing out like one hair that's out of line, like at the end of the tail of one of the NFTs, and the team's like, oh, hell nah, not on my watch. Like the level of detail and attention to detail is incredible.
Like if you can show me in the leaks channel a picture of your haircut being better than these haircuts, I'm not going to give you anything because I don't have anything left to give. So I'll be impressed. You can see here as you zoom in, like what's the issue with this? Dimitri's done an amazing job of updating this from the original artwork that you see in the game, but like around the teeth, little displacement issues, you know, we've had to go back. We have the true god of this project, which is Sean, for having the patience to go in and manually rebake the displacement maps for these characters, sometimes 10, 20 times to get it perfect. And there's things that people don't even understand are wrong with these that just need to be fixed, because the whole idea here is that for open beta, the one thing that we have flawless was the actual Alluvials. You know, I don't think we could skimp on anything else. And even that, we've still got the VFX to add, but I don't think that makes or breaks the NFTs, to be honest.
This is my favorite leak of the episode.
Look at this.
The level of detail on this Alluvial is absurd.
It's a masterpiece of character design, originality, perfectionism.
But then, so see, like once this is the still image, and we had so much troubles with this guy on the animation. Like it went literally 30 times back and forth between me and animation team, because there have been some issues here and there. Some spikes starts to float, you know, you gotta go fix that. Or maybe they start to stretch and feel weird, you know, because they are made out of wood and kind of doesn't look good. So
that's people don't understand the difficulties of, if this was just a game asset, if we weren't rendering these game assets offline in V-Ray, we would have been good 30 iterations ago. But because you can see in 4K the rigs breaking, you know, like if it's rock, we can't have, when the character twists, the rock also twists. You know, in film and movies, they have ways around that by implementing muscle simulation and more complex and slow rigs. These rigs are the game rigs. The characters in the game use these rigs. So if we fix it for the NFT artwork, we fix it for the game as well. And then the game, you notice things like on the 10 rec stage 3, the wood spikes don't stretch and spin. But no one's paying attention to that just as a game asset, because you're viewing it from up top in the auto battler. And this just has really slowed down the entire process for us. I can't underestimate that. If we didn't go to this level, we would have been done at least a year ago. So we hope people appreciate the fact that we have really, really strived for true perfectionism on every single one.
Well, the thing is, if Illuvium doesn't, the big boys are going to come in with their AAA studios. They're really great talent and they're great IPs, and they're going to deliver something really, really good. And if we haven't gone to this extent now, just going to get squashed.
The only studio who's ever outdoing this series of artwork on this many characters, not going to say that a studio isn't capable of doing better characters, but this volume of characters and the consistency we've shown is an artificial intelligence. I truly believe that this will go down as the last man-made, truly great character collection of all time, because I think it's undeniable at this point that eventually AI will be capable of doing stuff like this. But do people appreciate it the same, knowing that it's just another AI generated series of art? I don't know, but we're still a ways away from getting 4K video generated and synthesized. I think we'll be able to appreciate what we've done for at least a few years before that happens, even though right now still imagery is kind of massively taking over in the AI space. But I just can't see another studio wanting to go to the effort we've gone to. And that was one of the cool things. As AI started getting better, Dimitri and I realized, like, this is the last stand before AI
You
takes
are
over.
the last samurai.
This
You are
is
the last through the 300 right now. Like, this is it.
Let's
You know,
get it done.
You
And rest
warned
in
me
peace.
about this. Sorry to interrupt you, Dimitri. You warned me about this, Grant, and I was skeptical actually when we met in person about a year and a half ago, telling me that AI was going to take off and start replacing creative roles instantly, like now. And I didn't believe you. And it turns out you were right. And
like
yeah.
like an orc horde, you know, like we're sitting there in Minas Tirith, you know, it's just like hundreds of thousands of orcs coming on us, and we're just like a group of, I don't know, smelly horsemen.
All right, I got to ask you about this next leak, which was not made by AI. Is this just a UI mock-up of the new Fusion screen for people to select? Basically, in this example, pick your atlases over here and then fuse them together. Okay, got it.
Each atlas, because remember, like right now, stats aren't implemented in the game correctly, but every alluvial is completely and utterly unique in terms of its stats, its histories, and lineage. And we really want to make that an element, because this is where crypto really pays off. You can verify the history of a file, and to a certain extent you can kind of do that in Web 2, but how do you verify it, right? How do you know that Ubisoft or Epic Games hasn't gone in and just tweaked those values? So,
well, I'm sure they do all the time. I mean, it's on some centralized server somewhere, and of course they tweak it. I mean, if they can reverse a transaction and give you a refund and recover your account or delete your account and these sorts of things, then obviously everything can be edited.
But yeah, we've got the Fusion platform in the overworld that's being updated, and eventually this entire sequence will be more immersive and less UI based. But this is just the pre-Fusion sequence that happens. Like in the UI, we want to make it easy for people. Not everything is there to be a cinematic experience, because some people won't appreciate that after the first 10, 20, 30 times fusing. Some people will be grinding, and so we need to have a kind of two-part system where you can set up the character to be fused in the UI and then transition after you hit fuse to the cinematic sequence that happens in the overworld on the Fusion Hub, where, you know, I'll reveal this in the next showcase, but, you know, I've ideated this with Roger like over a year ago, where the Fusion Hub, as you drop each character on the board, you know, it's like starts charging up, and then the VFX of the board nanizes in. You've got this like each character kind of starts spawning in, swirling into a, you know, nanized VFX sequence before it morphs into one new alluvial as the character's panning around in the overworld on Sancta Mesa. And this big, you know, because fusion is a huge element to this game and the progression for a new player. It's like, all right, I've caught 3 of these shitty characters that were easy, but I want to start getting better characters. And you can either catch higher tier and higher stage characters in the overworld, but the rarity goes up exponentially. You know, the chance of finding a stage 3 tier 5 Ramfire with good stats in the overworld just running around is way rarer than just being able to capture 9 Rampies and fusing them up. So more people will be experiencing fusion to get high level characters than rare finds in the overworld. That means that those rare finds in the overworld are more impactful and meaningful for the player, while at the same time giving players that really cool cinematic experience leveling up their characters, which is what we focused on in the trailer that we released.
Right.
You know?
Yep, I remember that. You saw the 3 cards, and then you get to see the fusion sequence. It's a huge deal, just like evolutions, for example, are a huge deal in Pokemon. That's some of their flashiest VFX is when you evolve, because it's a big moment. I have to ask you these, and we're going to go through a series of weapon art here. Are
Yeah.
these in-game? Are these the icons for in-game, or what are these?
This is
Art.
updated NFT art.
Oh,
So
this is NFT art. That's why it's so good.
yeah,
Okay. I was
yeah.
like,
This
this
it
is
all,
too detailed to be an icon. So this is the NFT art. Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it.
yeah, it is also used as an icon, like for small scale in the game. But this is where Dimitri right now is solely focused on the Alluvial NFTs, and he's grinding those out. Connor and I are grinding out all the non-Alluvial NFTs in the game: weapons, consumables, gems, shards, essences, skins,
Mm-hmm.
augments. Not augments. Roger's handling that, but drone components. So Cantemir, Connor, and myself are focusing on getting all of the artwork updated for the non-alluvial NFTs, and those have to match the standard that Dimitri's getting out of the alluvial NFTs. Also, all 4K. For open beta release, these won't be animated. We've made the decision to just make life easier, because, as you know, as we told you, just the alluvial NFTs are like taking up hundreds of terabytes of storage. If we then tried to animate all the weapons, basically we need to finish all the alluvials, burn the hardware to the ground, rebuild it to have a system capable of doing all the NFTs 4K.
Anyway, that's your next job, right, Dimitri? Basically, you have a never-ending job of becoming an NFT wizard. So I see them dumping these on you later. Once you're done with the alluvials, they're like, "Oh yeah, can you make these look like the best thing of all time?" Are you ready?
No, look, they are already. You know, we just need to animate them.
Every
But,
single
You
artwork
it's
is
so
created
it's
by
so
print.
simple. It's so simple. Weapon animation's so simple. Yeah, easy.
Connor and myself and Dimitri all worked at the same high-end print company that was arguably the best print company in the world for high-end print advertising. You know, had won hundreds and hundreds of awards in the print advertising space. I was fortunate enough to work with Connor and Dimitri in that process, and now you're seeing work for a game made by artists who were doing, you know, award-winning
Mhm.
high-end print advertising work, with the idea of more complex isn't always better. And you can see, like, I have a history of doing hard surface modeling and design. One of the things I wanted for Illuvium was that all the hard surface wasn't necessarily super detailed, but it did have its own style. And you see things like the helmet, it doesn't look like other IPs. Like, you know, this doesn't look like Iron Man. It looks like Illuvium. Yeah, it doesn't look like Transformers. It doesn't look like your stock standard,
No,
you
it doesn't.
modern. It's minimalized, it's simplified, and that to me is what gives something its, you know, it's hard to make something look unique when it's really simple, but at the same time it's kind of easy as well if you get some consistencies happening. It's like all the weapons and things like that. These are things that I'm so glad that we're finally showcasing properly, because all of these are visible in the player's UI as they're forging, and these are all things that you as the player are building up towards. Eventually, all the weapons, right now there's just one type for the different stats in the game, but eventually there'll be hundreds of different weapons that we build out that the player will be able to grind for, and it help influence like the battles in certain ways.
So exciting. That's so exciting. I agree. It does not look like the generic Master Chief ripoff soldier helmet config you see in, you know, 80% of games that have armored humanoid characters. There is progress in the overworld. We're seeing before and afters here that you shared on Discord. This is the old look here. Old and busted. And then new hotness. So, in a nutshell, what was improved here? And what will players kind of experience with this improvement with these two? Old versus new.
Just the overall consistency, and before you can see the grass is very patchy. It doesn't blend in with the terrain. The pathing isn't there. Like, you look at that and you don't necessarily see a path for the player to follow along. That's a huge issue when you're trying to make a game feel like you are on a path while still being like unhinged. You know, like the cool thing about our game is that it is free roaming. You know, you don't get hit by blocked walls and stuff like that. The mechanics allow you to go anywhere, but just by saying, hey, you can go anywhere, that doesn't mean players have a sense of direction in the game. People get lost, and one of the easiest ways to fix that is to just literally paint in paths. And every time you paint in a path, there are certain things that need to happen to sit that path in and make it so that the player isn't like being blinded by it, and they're not feeling like, hey, you have to go this way, but that they've got an easier way to run through the level and without being jarred by like constantly changing really dirty set dressing. So on the left, this is what you're getting in the current version. On the right is the new one with, you've got enhanced fog. The pathing is better. It's literally been hand painted in. We've had Max implement tools for the grass so that as you do the path, as you paint the path, it makes sure that grass isn't placed there as well, and the grass fades from the edge of the path out towards the areas that are unpathed. And that gives the set dressing team the ability to just go in and do this on a massive scale. And these are just one side-by-side screenshot. But I think, this is the difference between an indie studio and a AAA studio, just knowing how to take it to that level. It feels more artistic on the right.
Oh, way more artistic. Absolutely. You can feel, like, at a glance, you can see the hand touch that was put on both of these examples you shared. That's great. Yeah. You've mentioned this before. The wording you used before is you want the path to be inviting, but it can't be. I think you told me in one showcase it can't be like going on a runway at an airport.
Yes.
Where there's like lights like being like this way. It just needs to be inviting. It needs to call you in the path without being forceful. This is great. Thank you for sharing those leaks. Is this similar? Or is there similar work happening here in Abyssal Basin?
Next week, let's do a run through of the levels, because you really can't express just how polished Abyssal is. Of all the regions, okay, so since the last,
this is way better than PB2. Just to add a glance,
it's just a
the
totally
shrooms are so much better, man. These shrooms are gosh, yeah,
absolutely, totally different level. The issue with Abyssal was we didn't have time to test that and get that in players' hands in a really well-pathed state. It was just messy. Of all the regions, we spent the least time on Abyssal as a released beta level than any other region. And so you just ran around and there's no pathing anywhere. It's like you're getting stuck. It was difficult to know where to walk in the water. Now we've gone through, and like I said, Max and Martian have implemented techniques to make it easier for the set dressing team to path the regions and simplify the regions. Abyssal was just so overgrown, and it didn't feel like Crimson or Brightland. So we've unified that feel, so it feels like Illuvium now. It's overgrown, it's got its own unique vibe, but you're not getting lost in the region anymore. There's open spaces, and we also had to do that because obviously Illuvials are coming in the overworld, and you need areas to fight the Illuvials and to chase them and hunt them without it like turning a corner and you just go, where the hell did it go? There's got to be nice, clean pathways to hunt the Illuvials and have cool ways to use the movement mechanics to get through the regions. But just the general polish, these are screenshots I took while I was talking to Mark, just saying to him, like, what the hell, man? It just looks so different. These are all things.
Better. It's so much better. Holy moly, it's so much better.
People were like, yeah, I love Abyssal Basin when it was released. And I was telling you on showcases, like, it's about to be massively overhauled. Like, I don't understand why people are okay with this. Mark and I really thought that of all the regions, people would complain most about Abyssal. And I'm sure some people who played the private beta...
Well, these are people that aren't dead inside, Grant, that still enjoy Pixar films.
Yeah. It's just way
You've
better
just been
now.
looking.
So,
You just understand where you want these to be in terms of quality. The thing is the art style and the basic design and concept of each of these regions is so effing good. People love just that. And so when you put this level of polish on it, all the 99% of people that have yet to see this region that will experience it with this level of polish will be that much more blown away.
yeah, it's and the cool thing is too, like we've got Tiger Boreal being worked on too.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple of months, you're going to be seeing Tiger Boreal at a stage where Abyssal was at the private beta release, where it hasn't been polished, but like it's a region that's getting ready to be private beta ready. At some stage in the next few months, we'll have a private beta of Tiger Boreal being tested. And then that's 4 regions, which is super cool. And all of them feel different, but they all feel like Illuvium. You got to hand it to Mark. He has really reined in the environment production.
We found one person that didn't like Abyssal Basin when it was released. Thank you. Thank you very much. You just backed Grant up there. Thank you, Modern Llama.
Thank you.
This perfect. We just have some more art to show everyone.
Little badges for the
This is the
different
rank badge.
modes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the icons and artwork that represent the different like UI elements we're working on, because like right now it's just survival mode, but eventually survival, PvP, Ascendant, and Leviathan are all going to be ranked modes, and we need badges for those if we were ever to do tournaments and things like that. You need trophies based around these types of things. So you would, the idea is that like these are all built in a way that looks Illuvium, but at the same time could be turned into physical items as well. Badges on clothing, trophies for players in tournaments, all centered around this type of artwork. So Kendrick has been helping me out with this, along with Cantemir, just concepting these out, just ideating back and forth. Once again, just trying to create that feel of it being like military-esque with an Illuvium touch to it, while also simple enough to just kind of express what each mode is. And the little touches we put into this is work in progress, by the way. This, it's not final, but these will update as well. And you'll see this in the final game's UI, the stuff that I've been working on with Kendrick and Cantemir.
It feels weighty, or it looks weighty. It looks like it's made of a very heavy metal, and which is great. That's exactly what you want with this sort of thing. It needs to feel substantial. Great. I've loved the progress so far. Rocks, everyone. Yes. You've wanted rocks on the show. We've got lots and lots of rocks, my friends. Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, the updated shards. Right. So you got to hand it to Arthur here. He's been making so many rock sculpts for this game. He has truly mastered the process now.
Look at
to
that
the point
rock.
where, this is stuff that I've been working on the last few days. Just trying to make, because shards are our Pokeballs. So, we've got to, these have to be the rockiest of all the rocks we do in the game, and the most the most polished. And these are work in progress, by the way, but the idea needed to be that we get more progression visible in so like this is a tier 1 shard. It's a little bit too clean. This is more just shader testing and things like that. So the idea is that you can, if you go back to the broken tier 0 shard, right, you can see it's more cloudy.
This one.
Yeah, it's more cloudy. It looks less clean and polished, because this can only capture tier 0 characters. But then as you progress, the shards need to get cleaner, more vibrant, and crazier.
Look, higher quality. Got it.
Yeah.
Higher quality, higher clarity, just like how we'd value gems on Earth. Got it.
Exactly. And it's got to be easy for players who've never played the game to look in the UI and know that when you mine a deposit, holy shit, this is way better than the tier 1. And right now we don't have that. They're kind of all just different colors and they all look the same.
This is great. I'm really glad you brought the rocks here. The audience is really needed it. They look really nice, seriously. This one's my
And then
fave.
a
Maybe
work
it's
in
just the
progress.
colors. Maybe it's
Yeah.
just the colors. All right, this one.
Work in progress of tier 5. I actually worked on this a little bit this morning, just before, getting that 40 minutes of sleep before this episode.
You're welcome.
No problem.
I pinged this man like, get up.
And these will be animated as well. The cool thing that doesn't really show here is that these are really complex shaders. Dimitri and I, in terms of digital shading in V-Ray, I would say are more accomplished than anyone alive at this stage, just in our ability to make really cool, unique, stylized shading. And like this, when animated, won't just be, oh, it's like that. Like, up.
That was the last one.
Yeah, as this rotates back and forth, you'll see the modulating refraction happen on the tier 5 shard. You'll see that holographic shimmer happen. It'll look really cool. You get the depth coming through, because it's very difficult to make translucent objects in CGI look good at all angles. You can make it look good from one angle, but how do you capture that depth in all angles? And while simultaneously making it look stylized and just popping out at you as unique artwork. So, yeah. I think this updated tier 5 one, but you can see in the comments, like...
I love how much detail, thought you're putting into this.
Yeah.
We can smell what Grant is cooking here. He's putting in so much thought, and, the thing is, this is something that could just be ignored. Or just, like, you could just slap this out. It's like, whatever. This is not, a headliner or a hero asset, let's say, that really needs tons of love and thought, but that's not how you work. It's almost like this is like a career piece for you and the team. Like, this is something that you guys want to be able to look back on and say, every single thing I did, I gave it everything I possibly could to increase the quality. I love
These are Pokeballs for us,
Pokeballs are important, I guess, to Pokemon.
How do you can't just do something similar to a Pokeball and outdo it. You got to go the polar opposite directions. Like, what's the opposite of a circular, spherical, metallic ball? A rock.
Right. That's fair. I love the variety, the colors, the thought that goes into each of the tiers. It's fantastic. When we play out the episode here in a moment, you did share with me a music leak that I kicked off the episode with. It was labeled as Fight Song. I'm going to crank that one full volume and play it for everybody on the way out. Is this a battle song in the in PvP or in the arena? Or can you give us some context on this song?
I don't know the exact one, because probably a few weeks ago I shared it.
Okay.
But Benjamin has been transitioning. Benjamin right now is working full ball on the cinematic that Glow Studios and us are working in conjunction with. But he is also working on the battle music when you go into encounter spaces, as well as PvP battle music. So I'm not sure what this is, but it'll be something to do with those two.
Got it. I'm going to crank it up then at the end of the episode. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Showcase. So much to show. I didn't even show half of the leaks that you shared on Discord. So seriously, everyone, get on Discord. There's way more content that we didn't even get to today in the leaks channel. This was fantastic. Dimitri, I know we give you a lot of hard time.
You got to get the tongue out, man.
Oh, yeah. Do it. Yes.
How come Grant looks tired, huh? I'll turn this cluster around.
That's awesome. All right, everybody. Everybody do it together, and we're going to end the episode. Thank you so much. Yeah. Let me crank up this track. I'll kick you guys out. Have a fantastic day. Thank you, audience, for being here. Enjoy this music and enjoy this animation. Adios, guys. Thank you so much.